Today, a much more reflective tone, I would say, from the Prime Minister, and certainly he expanded at great length on what he had been saying previously. He said he's been thinking a lot in the past few weeks in light of these allegations, and let's listen to some more of what he had to say.
I've been reflecting on the actual interaction, and if I apologized later, then it would be because I sensed that she was not entirely comfortable with the interaction we had. Like I said, I've been working very hard to try and piece it together, and even when the original editorial came out at the time, I was fairly confident. I was very confident that I hadn't acted in a way that I felt was in any way inappropriate.
He went on to say, though, and he made this point a few times, that people can perceive things in different ways, and that he appreciates that while his perception might have been that he didn't do anything inappropriate, and he came back to that idea a few times, he did open to the door, at least, to the idea that this young woman might have felt differently, and frankly, it's quite clear that she did when you look at the words used in that editorial. We've spoken to some of the people who worked at the newspaper at the time, and they believe, they say in all likelihood, she's actually the one who made these allegations.
The Prime Minister, in those comments that we just heard, was responding to a question specifically asking whether or not he would call an independent investigation into this. And so what is he going to do next?
Well, he was asked twice about an independent investigation, and both times he just went back to this idea of reflecting about what he's done, that he's confident that he didn't make any mistakes. So he did not explicitly say that he would not call an independent investigation or investigate this in any way. But that did certainly seem to be the gist, and he did talk a bit, too, about what other follow-up might or might not be appropriate from his perspective, from his office. So let's listen to that.
I apologized in the moment. I certainly feel that if, again, I don't want to speak for her. I don't want to presume how she feels now. I haven't reached out to her. No one on my team has reached out to her, and we don't think that would be appropriate at all.
So then the question becomes, where does this go from here? He seems to be shutting down the idea of any sort of further investigation. He talks about reaching out to her. Several media outlets, the CBC certainly has reached out to her. She told the CBC, the woman at the center of this, that she did not want to be involved in the coverage in any way. She did not want her name used. She did not want to be contacted again. So it's a very particular set of circumstances where you have a complaint, in a way kind of perfectly preserved because of this newspaper editorial from the time. You do not have a complainant. And thus, where would an investigation go from there? Nonetheless, incredible scrutiny of this incident over the course of the past few weeks, even from international media now. And a lot of those international commentators were not satisfied with what Justin Trudeau had been saying up to this point. So the question is, do his comments now put an end to the controversy? I think we can bet that certainly some commentators, observers, opposition members will not be satisfied by this and will continue to question what it says about his feminist.
Yeah, especially given his rhetoric on feminism and defending women's rights. I think he's facing a lot of questions.
Yeah, and I think that's why people have been so interested in this particular incident. And of course, it's interesting in light of that to see that he's really leaning in to that feminist side today in a way to combat, let's say, some of the questions that he's facing.
Okay, we'll have lots more on this in the Power Panel when you'll be back to join us then. Thanks a lot, Catherine.
You're welcome.